Hello! Today we're going to talk about teaching, but in a very general sense. A lot of the same ideas that help you learn better will also help you to teach other people better, but I will go over three overarching principles when it comes to teaching. First, it is possible to straighten the learning path for other people. You can help someone avoid wrong turns and needlessly long routes on their learning journey. You can make the effort they put in go farther. This is incredibly useful. Here are a few ideas on how to do this. Teach the principles. Don't just show people what to do. Show them why doing it this way is best, when doing it this way fails, what underlying assumptions you make in your decision-making process, and many other things. You can also help guide their effort towards more important things. Think back to the task analysis. If you see someone busying away on something that isn't going to bring much results, guide them towards a better place to spend their efforts. And you can tactfully provide passive learning. I'm going to come back to this after we talk about the second principle. It is possible to cause others to invest more mental effort. Mental effort seems to be all important, right? So, if you can increase the mental effort of someone through your interactions with them, then you can increase their progress in learning. To figure out your contribution, you take their mental effort while they are with you, subtract out whatever mental effort they would have had without you, and you are left with your contribution. For example, if through your interactions you can get a student up to 50% mental effort, but without your help the best they could pull off is 20%, then you are directly responsible for more mental effort, which translates into more progress and more learning. If a student is at 0% without you, but also 0% with you, then you did not help that student. Similarly, if a student is at 80% mental effort with you, but would also be at 80% mental effort on their own, you did not really provide a service. Pulling this off is tricky, of course, but it is a great way to think about your performance. If one teacher can get the average mental effort level in the room to 25%, while another can get it to 40%, I would call the second one a better teacher. So how do you increase someone's mental effort? Get them to actively learn. You can ask thought-provoking questions. You can provide hints and clues to guide them in the direction you want without robbing them of all of the effort. This brings us to one of the hardest things for us to do. Let them struggle. In the same way that mental effort is your friend, mental effort is also their friend. When the wheels are turning, there is that awkward silence, and it seems like they are struggling. That is exactly the moment when you need to exercise some self-restraint. As long as their brain is turned on, you don't really need to do anything, because they are actively learning. In fact, interrupting them can turn the active learning process off, and you can rob them of growth. The best point to intervene is when they give up and all of their mental effort stops. When that happens, you give them the smallest hint possible, just enough passive learning to get the active learning process going again. That is what I mean when I talk about tactfully giving passive learning. If you go overboard and give them the answer, you have robbed them of mental effort, and you have forced lower quality passive learning upon them when they could have had full strength active learning. Now this is much, much easier to do one-on-one. If you are an actual teacher and are trying to simultaneously increase the effort of 30 kids, know that I recognize how hard of a challenge that is. I don't even have many good ideas for you. But if you take the principle that it is possible to increase someone's mental effort and run with it, you will probably weed out some bad ideas and start developing better ones. Lastly, it is possible to help upgrade someone's mindset to seeking. This pie chart represents an entire person's life. You know that everyone will spend some percentage of their time learning without your influence. No one goes through their whole life without learning anything. Your mission as a teacher is to increase that percentage of the pie so that the person learns and grows more. With the second principle, you are attempting to accomplish this through your time directly spent with them. However, the total amount of time you spend with someone is very limited, especially over the time scale of a lifetime. If you only spend your efforts on increasing their mental effort in your presence, your efforts will be limited to your time of interaction. But if you can help people to care enough to learn on their own without you, to truly value themselves, to want to invest in themselves, and feel like they have the power to do it, then you could be indirectly responsible for a lot of learning the student does on their own over the course of their life, and far more than you will ever interact with them. This is helping someone develop a seeking mindset. I believe this is the highest calling of human interaction. You could completely alter the course of someone's life. Of course, you're only indirectly responsible for all of that extra learning, because the student has to do the work themselves. But if without you they would have been avoiding or tolerating, but because of you they are now seeking, you can feel very confident in the difference you made. This applies everywhere, including parents helping their children, bosses helping their employees, fellow students helping each other, medical professionals helping their patients, and many more. Anywhere you could have enough person-to-person contact to touch someone's life, this could happen. Of course, doing this is one of the hardest and least consistent things imaginable. It is ultimately their choice, and you cannot force them. Any hope, then, comes through influence, through fertilizing the ground and removing as many barriers as possible. One thing that needs to happen is to turn any fixed mindsets into growth mindsets. This can't be the only thing, since of course it is possible to believe you can do something without actually doing it. However, someone with a fixed mindset will never actively seek growth, so that is a barrier that needs to be overcome. I have some resources down in the description, but basically you have to show them that their hard work is not wasted, learning things is possible, and that their own mental block is a bigger barrier than anything they will actually face on their learning journey. To aid that, you can help them achieve progress toward learning something. This is where the first two principles come in. If you can help someone avoid unnecessary pitfalls and coax them into some mental effort, then you can show them firsthand that they can learn things. That is motivating in itself. You will also have to work on your own character. The goal of this last principle is to help other people actively seek out mental effort to improve their lives. Do you do that for yourself? For example, if you are trying to convince someone to eat healthy and exercise, do you eat healthy and exercise? As Ralph Waldo Emerson put it, "Who you are speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you're saying." Influence is a tricky business, and it is inseparable from your character. Lastly, you need to look at your own mindset about the potential of other people. Do you actually believe the person you're helping is capable of change? Or have you given up on them and all of your encouraging is empty and lifeless? I can't tell you how many healthcare professionals I've been with where after working with a patient, they leave and talk behind their back, saying they are never going to change, they're just stuck in their ways. Teachers do the exact same thing. They just flat out give up on some of their students. The worst is when parents give up on their kids. Can you think of anything more discouraging than if the people who brought you into this world were to convey to you that you don't have what it takes? That gives us one last principle. Once you give up on someone, you also forfeit your ability to influence them for the better. You create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You won't put in the mental effort yourself to figure out how to better influence them, and you won't put in the time to actually do it. And honestly, I think people can tell when you've given up on them, so they lose all trust and hope in you. Unfortunately, you do retain your ability to influence them for the worst. You end up in this awkward situation where you're only really capable of bringing them down. If they end up learning and growing, it is in spite of you, not because of you. So the question is, are you willing to work on your own character and your own mindsets to be able to better influence those around you? I hope so. I will give you a more concrete example to chew on for our first three principles. I'm going to be a physical therapist. A large chunk of my worth will be using my knowledge to make the path to a healed body as straight as possible for my patients. I need to do a lot of learning myself to do this well. Second, I need to get my patients to put in both mental and physical effort in my presence. My great ideas on how to heal them don't work as well if I cannot get their bodies on board. Third, the best and hardest, I want to get my patients to invest in their bodies. On the short term, I need to get buy-in so that they do the home exercise programs I give them. Every PT you meet will give you the spiel about how if you work hard in therapy for 3 hours a week and you go home and do nothing for the other 165, you won't get better, which, by the way, is completely true. But on a deeper level, I want to spark the desire and confidence necessary and give the tools necessary for them to develop a seeking mindset towards their health. Then I will have not only helped them heal, but fundamentally altered the course of their lives, prevented future injuries and health problems, and reduced the future financial burden of my patients and the healthcare system as a whole. That is the greatest success I am capable of as a physical therapist. I fully recognize that the third one will be rare, and for some patients I will fail in all three areas. But I also believe that as I continue to learn and become a better person, my success rate in all three teaching areas will increase, making me a better therapist. If you haven't already guessed, the whole point of these videos is to get at least one person watching to develop a seeking mindset in at least one area of their life. Who knows if YouTube is an effective way to do that? I feel like one-on-one conversation is more likely to impact someone. However, it serves the purpose of being permanent and not requiring my direct time to share my ideas. Since it is permanent, you can come back and review the principles anytime you would like, doing more active learning as your life evolves and old practices stop working. Thank you so much for watching all of these videos. It is humbling to know you appreciated them enough to watch 8 of them. The last gift I can give you is a recommendation to buy and read this book, or get it as an audiobook. It is based on principles, but rather than learning, it deals with other very important life things, such as taking control over your actions, doing things that actually matter to you, interacting with people in a way that's actually productive, and renewing yourself to avoid burnout. A mentor at an old job gave me this book as a parting gift, and in terms of how much my life was altered, this book is easily the best gift I have ever received. If you go through this book and obey the principle of doing more active than passive learning, I can basically guarantee that your life will be impacted for the better. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.